If I was in the market to buy either an Insta360 X4 or the DJI Action 5 Pro, which would I buy? Now I know this is an apples versus oranges type of video because one is an action camera and the other is a 360 camera. Now in this video, I'm going to go over both, show you the differences, and hopefully by the end, you'll be able to make up your mind which one you want. Let's start with the Insta360 X4. Let's go over some of its features so you know what it's like. Now this was released back in April 2024, and its external features, it has a front screen, microphones up top, there's a USB-C port on the left-hand side. On the opposite side, there is an on-off button and a quick menu button. And on the front, we have a menu button and a record button. There is a battery compartment and the SD card slot is inside, and you have a 1/4-inch screw hole at the bottom. Now the Insta360 X4 has an easy to navigate menu. It has gesture control. You have quick capture as well, just pressing the Q button, it will quickly capture footage depending on how you set this up. It's waterproof up to 10 meters, and it has various shooting modes: video, active HDR, time-lapse, timer shift, bullet time, loop recording, pre-recording, and dash cam, which is new. You can charge it to 80% in around 38 minutes or to 100% in just under an hour. It has a runtime of 135 minutes when shooting at 5.7K at 30 frames per second and 75 minutes at 8K. It has an operating temperature of up to -20 degrees, and you can also reframe your shot in post, and this is the camera's main draw. Now the Insta360 X4 will set you back between $500 to around $700, and this just depends on which bundle you go for. There are several options available that will suit you, from just the regular camera on its own with the tripod mount, or even going for the diving case, etc. So take a look and see what's right for you. Now let's take a look at the DJI Action 5 Pro. This was released back in September 2024, so it's still fairly new. It has a rear screen and a front screen. It has a speaker up top, a power button, a quick menu button. It comes with a lens guard, and you can swap this out for ND filters or other sorts of filters. It has a color temperature sensor at the front, a USB-C slot, a battery compartment with an SD card slot that you can fit up to 1 terabyte. It has internal storage of 47 gigabytes. It has a magnetic mount clip and a speaker at the bottom. It also has an air and water air pressure sensor. Now the features you get with the DJI Action 5 Pro is that it does have Bluetooth compatible with some of the DJI mics. That's great for the ecosystem. This is waterproof up to 20 meters. It has a 4-hour battery life. You can charge it for 15 minutes and enjoy 2 hours of shooting. It has an operating temperature up to -20 degrees Celsius. You can also use it as a webcam for live streaming, and you can even synchronize footage with multiple cameras. And the price range for the DJI Action 5 Pro is actually less. It starts from around $350 and it goes all the way up to $550. As you can see, both of these cameras are feature rich and you won't be disappointed with either. Now let's take a look at some real world scenarios and my personal experiences with using both of these cameras. Oh, there we go. So we're first testing the DJI Action 5 Pro here, and this is on auto settings, video 4K 30, rock steady. So as the camera came out of the box, these are the settings. This is what the image quality looks like. So the reason I wanted to do this test is because maybe you don't have a budget for both. You only have budget for one, and which one do you pick? Because they're both good cameras. They both have a lot of features, but if you could only buy one, which one do you buy? And I bought the Insta360 X4 first, then this. But I wanted to show you, like, the reason I got this was mainly for FPV, because I like flying FPV, but I'm thinking to use this as a vlog cam, and I'm hand holding this right now. Look how wide the picture is. I'm not holding it that far from my face. I think this is really good. I don't have, other than the cage that I've got on the outside, the fact I could just pick it up and go, or drop it on the floor and then pick it up again. That's just fantastic. I love it. You could just place this area anywhere. This is more robust than the X4 because it has those bubble lenses, and those are prone to breaking, which has happened. So what do we think? Also with the rock steady stabilization, how do we think of that? How do we think of the audio? And because I got the screen on the front, which is absolutely fantastic, because when you're recording on your own, it can be difficult to speak to a lens if you didn't have a screen here. So it does kind of help, unlike with iPhone where sometimes you're like pointing this way and it doesn't look like you're talking to the audience.
Battery life is really good on this. We started this right now on 34%. Obviously I started it with 70% with the previous B-roll I was capturing. But what do we think? Let me just show you my location. I forgot there's a screen on the back. It's a nice cloudy day today. Check out the dynamic range. We'll go up here. And how does my voice sound now that I'm holding the camera away? Because the microphones are actually on the front and underneath as well, so should be able to pick it up. But this is what I think most people would buy it for, or FPV, putting it on a car, etc. But I think vlogging is going to be so much better. That way you're not using the battery on your phone. You just pick up this camera and go. I got the kit with 3 batteries. What I'll do is, there's some benches here. We'll switch to the 360 X4 and you can see what that's like. So this is now the Insta360 X4. How do I climb back up here without my tight jeans? Fuck. So I bought this camera first. I've had this camera for about 6 months now. We're just taking a walk. And the beauty of this camera is that doesn't matter about positioning or whatever you're placing it, basically, because you just point at it and you can reframe it later in post. There's a screen on the front where you can see yourself as you're speaking, or you can always hit on the bottom right here and flip it around so you can see this giant Christmas tree, which I think they haven't finished decorating yet. And then you switch it back to yourself. Check out the dynamic range with the nice sky here. I don't know why I'm doing this. I keep thinking that I'm not reframing my shot, but it was going to change. So yeah, as you can see, I have the Action 5. I'm not filming anything, but this is quite handy to place it and keep it recording right now. How does the audio sound like? What's the stabilization like? This camera is more expensive than the Action 5 Pro. I think the starting price is from around $450, $500, I believe. So yeah, this one is going to be more expensive. The only accessory I got with it was the selfie stick with the tripod stand. I found that the most useful, because for those of you who have been watching the channel over the last 6 months would have noticed I've added these clips in from my DJI Air 3 and Air 3S videos, and I use it as B-roll. So essentially just stick it on the stick, stick it on the ground, and again, it doesn't really matter which way I'm pointing it, because I can take my shot later and frame it. And this has given me third-party shots, because I don't always have a friend to help me when I'm shooting. So I can place it there, do what I want, and then when I go in post, I then have to go and reframe everything and export everything so I can dump it in my timeline. This is the problem with this camera. Its best benefit, where you can reframe in post, you can't drag and drop these files into the timeline. You have to have an extra step of workflow where you have to reframe, export as video, and then put it into timeline. Camera struggles in low light, which I will show you now. This is what Insta360 X4 footage looks like at night. Now, I have adjusted the settings as best as possible to get the image. I said this earlier, it does not look good at all. So if you're thinking about getting the Insta360 X4 and you want to film stuff at night, this is the best you're going to get. It's not a great image. It's such a shame. You really need to have good light. Look, there's a light over here. Let's walk up to this lamp. And you can see the image will start to improve. So about here starts to look a little bit better. And this is shooting in 5.7K, but it's not amazing. And the minute you get into the dark, it absolutely sucks. Look at the flares as well. And this is caused by those lens guards. And this is why this is all the footage I'm going to record on the X4 today. And we're going to switch to the Action 5 Pro because it is way better. This is what the DJI Action 5 Pro looks like at night. Now I do have this in default settings at super night. Look at the difference. This is incredible. Look at this. Now you do get flickers sometimes that I've noticed at night because of the lights. I'm filming at 4K 30 with Rocksteady on wide, and this seems to give me the best results. Just look how incredible this footage looks. And this is at night. It's literally night and day difference between the Insta360 X4, which sucked, barely visible. I'm going to turn this round so you can see. This is what it looks like. How does the stabilization look as well, and the audio? You can see my shadow. and this is where it's pitch black. Obviously it's not going to perform as well because it's completely dark over here. That's the Mediterranean, and there's a couple of boats out, and there's some Christmas trees over there. I think this looks awesome. So if you're planning to do video at night, vlogging, this is the camera that you need. What I will do is I will switch to regular video so we can see the difference. Now there is a slight disadvantage here because I did start this in the complete darkness, but as we come closer to a light now, this is just regular video mode, not the super night mode. This is what the footage looks like. I still think normal on this looks better than the Insta360 X4.
Now the Insta360 X4 can shoot up to 72 megapixel photos. And here are some examples I've taken from that day out shooting. Now as you can see during the day, this is amazing. However, when it comes to low light, not so good. The best thing about this is that it's taking a 360-degree photo. So you can pick any frame you want from this shot and share it, and you can put it into any format. Do you want it in 9:16 or 16:9? And it would even give you the panoramic format straight away, which is fantastic. The fact that you can quickly connect this to your phone and share these photos is a great plus. And using the selfie stick will give you some advantage points with unique shots. Now the DJI Action 5 Pro shoots 40 megapixels, and you know what? During the day, these come out really nice. I'm really impressed with these, even with the dynamic range, they are solid. And even at low light, they may not be amazing, but it's definitely better than the Insta360 X4. The other great thing is that you do have a burst mode, and this is not a proper burst mode like you get with digital cameras, but it will take 3 to 9 shots depending on how often you set this from in the camera. The other great thing is this also shoots RAW as well as JPEG. So if you want to edit your photos in post, you can do this with the DJI Action 5 Pro. This also makes it very super handy for selfies because it has the front screen on here as well. Now Insta360 have a very robust app. Now, I admit that when I first got this app, it felt very overwhelming, especially if you're new to a camera like this. You're going to be overwhelmed with a bunch of features, but not to be alarmed. There is plenty of educational tutorials on the 360 app, and it will even guide you. And you also don't need to have this camera to download it. Feel free to download it now and check it out, and you can even check out some of people's videos that I've posted so far and get some ideas of the types of shots you can get with this camera. It even includes a very good editor where you can edit your videos, cut them, splice them, add filters, music, etc. and then quickly export these and share these to social media. Now, just like the Insta360 X4, the Action 5 actually has 2 apps that you could use. Now, the main app is the DJI Mimo app, and this is just as good as the Insta360 app. Again, if you're overwhelmed with how to get the most out of this camera, there is plenty of tutorials and inspiration you can use. It has an editor as well, so you can edit your footage straight from the camera and then share it on your phone. The other option is DJI Light, and I have made a video on this before, and you can check that video up here somewhere. Again, this will have the same set of features and you get inspiration, and you can have an editor in this app as well. So either of these apps will work. However, DJI Mimo is the main one for this camera. Because I've only had this camera recently, I haven't fully utilized it, and most of the time I'm just exporting to my computer and editing in DaVinci Resolve anyway. However, this is something I will be exploring more in the future the more I use this camera. Now, the other great thing with Insta360 is you have a bunch of accessories that you can use. Now, the one I got came with a heat shield and some standard lens guards, and I think this was plenty. However, you can get the premium lens guards. There is a cap to protect the lens guards, a charging hub, carry case, wind muff, mic adapter, an invisible dive case. However, the one I'm going to recommend is the one I was using in this video, which is the invisible selfie stick with the built-in tripod, and that way you can just stick it to the floor, and that's how I've been getting my footage so far with the videos I've been making since purchasing this. This just gives me another perspective, another angle for you guys to see. So it's very useful for solo creators. Now, recently I picked up some small rig suction cup mounts, and this will help me get some more unique shots when I'm traveling around Cyprus. I highly recommend these, and they're super fun, and so far they haven't failed me. They are super strong. Now, just like the Insta360 X4, the Action 5 Pro comes with a bunch of accessories as well. Now, the one I opted for was the Adventure Combo, and this comes with the charge case, 2 extra batteries, and the selfie stick. However, there are a bunch of other options that you can pick from, just like the Insta360 X4, so you just have to pick the one that's best suited for you. Right, let's talk about some pros and cons with the Insta360 X4 since I've owned it over the last 6 months. I have my phone here, so I'm just going to read off everything that I've written down previously. The fact that you can use the gyro data in this to have super stable footage and to get 3D scans, that is amazing. The fact that you can reframe your shot in post and you don't have to worry about whatever direction you are, that's also amazing. You can also get some unique FPV shots, which I didn't think I was going to be that impressed by, but I have seen it in the past from others. And the fact that you can get backward shots and sideways shots and down shots, like, amazing. That's everything that I can think of so far. But most of the time I'm just shooting video because I don't really use any of the other features. Cons. Now, this might not apply to everyone, but I live in a hotter country. So obviously during the day in the winter, it's like 21 degrees. But in the summer, it can reach 30, 40 degrees sometimes. And even with the heat shield that I've got on, it's not enough, and this will overheat quickly. I've actually turned off the AI stitch feature because apparently that uses more processing power, which heats it up. And I didn't think the AI feature was that good anyway. The lens guards here are prone to scratching, which is not great. They also have a lot of flares on a very bright sunny day. So that can be kind of annoying, but you just have to deal with it. I would rather have them on than off, because I have had in the past on a windy day, especially on this monopod, it will just knock over and it smashed it, and it was very annoying. Low light sucks with this camera. It's not good. Do not buy this camera if you want it for low light. You need a lot of light. I do have presets on this, which I like. I just wish you could name them and change the icon like you can do with the Action 5. Here, it's just like a C for custom. Even though you've changed the settings, you don't have things like drive mode. They're very limited. So I wish we had the ability just to like change icons and the actual name of them. Because right now I'm just guessing on the settings. Just mentioned this earlier. Areas of high contrast. For instance, if you're in a car and you want to shoot some B-roll, you'll be exposed, but outside's blown out. You can get some of this back with HDR, but it's not the full 8K resolution. Yeah. The Insta360 app is fantastic, but it can be very overwhelming if you're new to it. And I mentioned this earlier as well. Even though one of its best features is that it doesn't matter where you place this camera, the fact that you have to, it adds to your workflow and you have to reframe the shot and export it out before you put it in your timeline. It just adds, like all this footage now, I'm probably going to need an hour just to export it to be able to use it. So its biggest pro is also its biggest con. Whether you use the app or not, you still have to use an app or the desktop app to be able to export this footage, to be able to use it in your timeline. Now let's talk about the Action 5. Pros and cons. Now I haven't had this camera
long, to be honest, but it's something that I have had my eye on. And out of all the action cameras, GoPro sucks because I wasn't a fan of the reliability. That's something that put me off a long time ago, and they haven't improved. And the Ace Pro was good. I just think DJI's ecosystem is a big pro. That's why I got it, because I have the mics, I have the drones, this will work better. Even though the Ace Pro has better low light, I went for the Action 5, and a lot of you on my community posts said you wanted this as well. Personally, I think the Action 5 Pro is better suited for FPV. Even though the Insta360 has these cool unique angles, this is more dedicated, it's also more durable. Again, with the Ace Pro, it has a flip up screen. I feel that's more likely to break. That's just something extra to break. Whereas this is just one unit. This is going to be a lot more rock solid, and you have the interchangeable glass lens as well, which is great. It's also a smaller form factor. The fact I'm talking to you and I'm just holding this with my hand, I love this. The fact I can just drop it, pick it up, go, put it on the floor. You can get unique shots with this too. It's just you probably have to do a little bit more thinking. Like maybe I place it in the rock here, or as I started in the beginning of the video where I placed it in the bush. Also, better color profiles. Yes, we have a normal vivid and flat profile on the Insta360 X4, but here we have normal 8-bit, normal 10-bit, HLG and D-Log-M. And for those of you who have already been following me on this channel know that I like D-Log-M, I like shooting D-Log-M, it's easy to work with. I have a great video which you can see up here. These are the pros that I can think of so far since owning this camera, and it's probably only been a month. Just cons: no 1/4-inch screw hole. That's a bit frustrating. I wish it did have that. I know it has this unique mount, which is super handy. It's just that's got a 1/4-inch screw mount. I have to keep switching different adapters now to be able to fit it, which is kind of annoying, but that's probably more of, I don't know, I wish it had a 1/4-inch screw mount. The batteries are not push pop like the Insta360 X4 here, which I would have preferred. At the moment it has this tab, and it's really finicky, especially in cold countries where you're really cold. You're trying to grab this tab, which is very close to the edge of the battery, and when you're trying to pick at it, you can't grab it, so it can be super frustrating when you just want to change batteries. But that's everything I could think of so far. Obviously I haven't had this camera long enough. If I do, I'll probably put it in the comments later down in this video. So, if you enjoyed this video, remember to give it a like and subscribe for future videos on drones, photography and everything in between. Let me know in the comments section which one of these cameras you would buy and why. Would you recommend you watch this one next? And if I was to start again and only had $600 to buy one of these cameras, I would buy the Action 5 Pro.